The scope of practice for a personal trainer limits the programs we create and the assessments we conduct to training and evaluating the muscles of the body. We do not assess, diagnose, or correct structural issues. Personal trainers can also offer general nutrition guidance, help clients with goal setting and behavior modifications that support their fitness goals, and exercise recovery techniques like self-myofascial release and stretching. We do not prescribe meal plans or diets, evaluate psychological conditions, or manually apply recovery techniques like massage or trigger point therapies. At some point, you're bound to come across clients who will ask about things that are outside of your scope of practice. When this happens, ask open-ended questions to learn how much they know about these topics and what they would like to learn. If it's something like better sources of carbohydrates, healthy fats, or how to reduce muscle soreness after exercise, you can likely offer high-level assistance and, more importantly, educate the client. However, if you don't know the answer to a client's question, don't make it up or guess. Never be afraid to tell them, "I don't know, let me find out and get back to you." But if the client's questions are detailed and specific, you'll likely need to refer them to another health or medical professional. Remember, when in doubt, refer out. Some common health and medical professionals you'll want to have in your network for client referrals include a dietitian for more detailed nutrition guidance, medical nutrition therapies, and meal plans. An endocrinologist for issues like diabetes or thyroid issues related to hormones or metabolic conditions. An orthopedic specialist for musculoskeletal issues like knee, low back, hip, or elbow pain. A chiropractor for issues concerning the back and spine. A massage therapist for recovery and mobility therapies like massage and assisted stretching. An athletic trainer for clients with or recovering from sports-related injuries. A cardiologist for heart and circulatory system concerns. And a general physician for non-emergency referrals. Many clients may already have a physician they see regularly. If they do, ensure they share their preferred doctor's contact information on their intake forms should you need to get in touch with them.
Nutrition is a critical aspect of any fitness goal. One way you can help clients with their nutrition is by teaching them helpful skills, like how to read a nutrition label. All packaged foods are required to have a label with nutrition information. Nutrition information for fresh foods, however, can typically be found online. When looking at a nutrition label, it's important to focus on three things: the serving size, total calories, and the percent daily values. There are typically two types of serving sizes listed on a nutrition label: the individual serving size and the number of servings in the entire package. Many people often underestimate how much they eat and don't understand how much a serving size is for the foods they consume. Clients should take the time to compare what they usually eat to the actual serving size. They may be eating more than they think. You can help clients understand that eating a single serving of something will require them to measure it out. The number of servings per package helps a client to understand that if they eat the entire package, they're eating multiple servings. They must multiply the calories and nutrients by the number of servings in the package to understand what they have consumed. Next, the calories are clearly marked on the nutrition label. The number of total calories per serving, and in many cases per package, are provided in large font. Then, the percent of daily values are listed. These are helpful for evaluating how a food fits into a client's daily needs. They show how much of a certain nutrient in one serving contributes to the total daily diet. Foods that are generally low in nutrients will contain less than 5% of daily value. A healthy diet should be low in saturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol and sodium. On the other hand, a high daily value is anything over 20%. Healthy diet should be high in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. The nutrition label also states that these values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So, if a client is consuming more or less than 2,000 calories daily, they'll need to adjust these numbers. For example, if a food has 5% of daily fat, it provides 5% of the recommended daily fat intake for someone who needs 2,000 calories a day. But if a client needs 3,000 calories a day, that equates to about 3% of their daily value. outside of these 3 features on a nutrition label, you should be able to help clients understand the terminology they'll see and hear surrounding nutrition. Terms like low calorie, this means anything with 40 calories or less per serving. Reduced calorie or reduced nutrient, this is used for a product with at least 25% less of the specified nutrient or calories than the original product. When they see good source of, this indicates a nutrient or vitamin that is provided at 10 to 19% of the daily value in a single serving, like good source of fiber. Similarly, excellent source of means at least 20% of the daily value of a nutrient or vitamin is in each serving. Calorie-free can appear on anything that has less than 5 calories per serving. Fat-free or sugar-free applies to any food with less than half a gram of fat or sugar per serving. And low sodium means a single serving has 140 milligrams or less of sodium per serving. When it comes to nutrition, focus on general education to help clients make better food choices. And remember, if you're interested in learning more about nutrition and nutrition coaching, you can pursue certification in this topic and expand your knowledge. The principles of program design are science-based truths that help fitness professionals better understand how the body adapts to the stress of exercise. Because they're based in science, they should serve as a guide for how a personal trainer creates exercise programs. The primary principles include the principle of specificity, specific adaptation to imposed demands or the said principle, the principle of variability, the principle of individual differences, the principle of progressive overload, the principle of reversibility, and the general adaptation syndrome, or GAS principle. Each principle states a unique truth, but they're all closely related. First, the principle of individual differences encompasses everything you'll do as a personal trainer. No 2 people will have the same response to the same exercise. This means every workout you create will need to be created for the individual client, their goals, fitness level, and abilities. You cannot use cookie-cutter exercise programming and expect good results. Let's take a look at some of the others. The GAS principle helps us understand how the body responds to the stress of exercise. Exercise is a stimulus or alarm that causes an acute physical and hormonal response. Over time, the body adapts to that stress in the resistance stage and the stimulus becomes less impactful. And without rest or removal of the stress, the body will no longer be able to handle the stimulus and we reach exhaustion. The alarm stage of the GAS principle is closely related to the principle of progressive overload. This states that a stress or exercise stimulus must be greater than what's typically encountered to drive adaptation. So when you think of them together, to produce the alarm stage of the GAS principle, the exercise stimulus has to be adequate to cause the alarm. For example, a client has been training for a month and uses the 10-pound dumbbells for bicep curls every time. By the end of that month, their body has reached resistance to that load. To create a new alarm, the intensity of the bicep curl must be increased if we want to continue to promote additional adaptations like increasing the strength or size of the biceps. And intensity can be increased through several training variables like load, volume, time under tension, or range of motion, to name a few. Speaking of acute training variables, now we can relate this to the principle of variability. This states that exercise programs must vary intensity, duration, load, volume, and other variables. It's not just about weight being used. Variation in the acute training variables will prevent injuries, boredom, and prolonged resistance, known as a plateau. Finally, the principle of specificity states that training must be specific for the desired training adaptation. For example, if someone wants to increase their power and their ability to move loads quickly, they must train by moving loads quickly. The same applies for someone looking to improve their muscular strength or their vertical jump. They have to move heavy loads or practice the full speed movements involved in jumping to see those adaptations. Specificity is clearly related to the said principle. This states that the body will have specific physiological adaptations based on the demands being placed upon it. If a client runs 30 miles a week, their body will adapt and they will get really good at running longer distances. Their cardiorespiratory system will likely become more efficient, their type 1 muscle fibers will become more prominent, and their endurance will improve. However, they will not likely see improvements in their muscular strength or build muscle if that is all they're doing each week. They'd have to also do a resistance training that focused on strength or hypertrophy for those specific adaptations. We say this to simply say that every time you create a workout or select an exercise, you should think of these principles. Does your plan adhere to the science of what we know about the body? It should. Remember these principles, and your clients are sure to see the results they're looking for.
The force vector of an exercise refers to the force that has both magnitude and direction. That is, the force and velocity are in one direction, and the speed at which it is moving is the vector. For fitness professionals, force vectors refer to vertical loading and horizontal loading. Vertical loading follows the conventions of anatomical position. It applies to movements progressing up and down when the body is in an upright position, like a split squat or an overhead press. This is known as the axial vector. Horizontal loading is also in alignment with anatomical position. It applies to movements where the body is in a lying position, such as a hip thrust exercise or a bench press. Horizontal movement is called antero-posterior vector when the concentric action is front to back, like during an inverted rowing motion, and postero-anterior vector when the concentric action is back to front, like a kettlebell swing. As it relates to program design, the concepts of horizontal and vertical scaling are terms that describe how someone moves through their sets of exercise. Vertical scaling is when a set of an exercise is followed immediately by a set of a different exercise. Vertical scaling is often performed with more than 2 exercises, so the client will complete the first set of each exercise before starting back at the beginning with the second set of each exercise. This training method is a lot like circuit training, with minimal to no rest in between each exercise. However, the sequence of exercises challenges different muscle groups with each exercise executed, which allows the previously worked muscle group to rest. Horizontal scaling is when all the sets of a given exercise are done before moving on to the next exercise. This type of scaling is a more common approach to exercise, especially in strength training. Clients start by choosing one exercise and complete all the sets with the appropriate rest in between each set. When the client completes the desired number of sets of a single exercise, they move on to the next exercise working a different muscle group. This method of training helps clients reach fatigue within one muscle group before moving to the next. Horizontal scaling gives clients the freedom to adjust the load, rep scheme, tempo, and sets within an exercise. As a trainer, you must decide whether horizontal scaling or vertical scaling is best for your client. Both training methods produce results, but knowing which will work best for your client's goals is crucial. If your client is looking to lose weight, vertical scaling might be the best option. It'll increase the intensity of the workout and maximize calorie burn. Moving quickly from exercise to exercise keeps the heart rate elevated, and the higher the heart rate, the more calories the body burns. Clients who have a busy schedule or only have time for shorter training sessions can benefit from vertical scaling. Circuit-style training moves relatively quickly and can take less time than horizontal scaling. Both training methods provide flexibility to adjust program components like tempo, speed, reps, and sets. The horizontal scaling method is more common when it comes to weight training or bodybuilding. On the other hand, vertical scaling is a great option for adding variety to a client's program. It helps break the traditional approach to weight training, which is important for avoiding plateaus and adapting to new goals.